When an AI makes a mistake, it can be embarrassing, maybe even offensive. But what happens when that AI is powerful enough to change our entire world? Well, that is the huge challenge of governing artificial general intelligence. And a recent glitch from Google just made this question very, very real. Let's get into it. So, this is the apology that really kicked off a massive conversation. It's coming straight from a Google senior vice president. And look, it's a surprisingly honest admission that their AI just got it completely wrong. It's the perfect jumping off point for understanding a much, much bigger problem. So, here's the backstory. Google's shiny new AI, Gemini, was asked to create some images of people. But the results were, well, pretty bizarre. It started spitting out historically inaccurate pictures. We're talking diverse-looking founding fathers, and it just seemed to get confused by basic requests. It got so bad that Google had to pull the plug on the whole feature. And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. The Gemini issue, look, it wasn't a global catastrophe, but it was a serious warning shot. If we're fumbling around trying to manage the output of a pretty simple image generator, what on earth is our plan for controlling an AI that could be way more intelligent and capable than any of us? All right, so let's dig in a little deeper here. What exactly went wrong under the hood? Because understanding this one specific failure is really key to grasping the sheer scale of the challenge we have ahead of us. So here's the thing. According to Google, their engineers were actually trying to do the right thing. They tweaked the model to show a diverse range of people. The problem was it overcompensated, and it completely failed to recognize when diversity didn't make any historical sense. And at the same time, it got overconservative, refusing to answer what Google called very anodyne prompts. It's just a perfect example of how even the best intentions can lead to some really unpredictable and frankly pretty embarrassing results. You see, this whole Gemini incident, it's not just some technical glitch. It's a symptom of a much larger challenge. It's like a little preview of a massive global problem. How do we possibly govern the development of true artificial general intelligence? And let's be absolutely crystal clear about what we mean when we say AGI. This is not just a smarter chatbot. The expert definition here is talking about AI that can match or even blow past human intelligence across the board. We're talking science, strategy, creativity, the whole shebang. The stakes are just astronomically higher than getting an image right. So what's the plan? I mean, is there a plan? Well, one of the most detailed proposals out there comes from the philosopher Nick Bostrom. It's called the Open Global Investment Model, and it gives us a really solid framework to dig into. So the big idea here is to stop thinking about AGI development like it's some secret government project. Instead, we treat it like a global enterprise. In this model, AGI gets built by corporations. But, and these are two huge buts, first, anyone in the world can invest and own a piece of it. And second, they have to operate under a super strict safety framework that's defined by governments. Okay, so what's really clever about this OGI model is how all these different pieces create a balanced system. By opening it up to international investment, you get everyone on the planet to buy in. And that makes it way harder for any one country to just swoop in and take control, or for other countries to feel left out. At the same time, you've got strong corporate rules and government safety oversight building in the guardrails. It's a really smart attempt to solve the central puzzle. How do you keep AGI safe without killing its progress or kicking off a terrifying arms race? Now, this OGI model, it's a fascinating idea, but it's not the only one on the table. To really get it, you've got to see how it stacks up against the other big proposals for handling AGI. This is a great way to see the three main schools of thought. You've got the OGI model, owned by international shareholders, which treats AGI like a global business. Then there's the Manhattan Project model, owned by a single country, which treats it like a top-secret weapon. And finally, the CERN for AGI model, owned by multiple governments, which treats it like a huge international science experiment. Each one has completely different consequences for who has control and, who gets the benefits. And this, right here, is the killer argument against that whole Manhattan Project idea. Bostrom crunched the numbers and found that if the US decided to nationalize AGI development, almost 96% of the world's population would be completely shut out from any direct ownership or influence. I mean, that raises massive questions about fairness, and it could easily push other countries to start their own risky competing AGI projects just to keep up. Okay, so we've got these big, grand plans. But while everyone's debating those, what are the folks actually building this stuff? The experts on the ground. What did they agree on right now? Let's take a look at the practical safety playbook. A recent landmark survey did the smartest thing possible. It went straight to the source. As you can see, they talk to a really balanced group of experts, people from inside the top AGI labs, from universities, and from civil society groups. This gives us a really credible snapshot of what the people closest to the problem are actually thinking. And wow, the results are actually pretty stunning. There was just overwhelming agreement on a core set of safety practices. And these aren't some wild, controversial ideas. The top three are basically common sense. Dangerous capabilities evaluations. That just means you test the AI to see if it can do bad stuff before you let it out. Third-party model audits. That's getting an independent set of eyes to check your work. And pre-deployment risk assessments. Well, that's just thinking through what could go wrong before it goes public. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. 98%. Getting that level of agreement in a field that's this new and moving this fast is, well, it's almost unheard of. It tells you that these basic safety checks are seen as absolutely non-negotiable by pretty much everyone who matters. Okay, but here's the part that's really going to surprise you. Who do you think would be most against safety rules? You'd probably guess the people actually building the AI in the big labs, right? Nope. They actually showed higher overall agreement with these practices than people in academia or civil society. Turns out the people closest to the fire are the most concerned about fire safety. So all this debate and planning, it's happening for a very specific reason. The entire world of AI is basically at a crossroads, and it could change how AGI gets developed and ultimately how it's governed. You know, for the past few years, the whole game in AI has been scaling. Just build bigger and bigger models, throw more data at them, more computing power. But a lot of the top minds in the field think that era of easy wins is coming to an end. The focus is shifting now to new, fundamental research and, maybe most importantly, a much deeper focus on the safety and governance issues we've been talking about. And that leaves us with the one single, massive question hanging over all of this. The technology is moving at an incredible speed. We're starting to get agreement on safety. We've got bold, new ideas for how to govern it globally. But the race is on. The ultimate challenge is whether our foresight, our planning, and our ability to cooperate can actually evolve as fast as the intelligence that we're creating.